So now let's look at an example of how we can determine end behavior using limits. In this case, let's look at our left end behavior. Well, that's going to be the limit as x approaches negative infinity, okay, going to the left of f of x. And as I mentioned before, as x gets really negative, the only term we're really going to care about is the first term here, the big power. Well, based off that, we just really need to say, is it going to be positive or negative? Is it going to be going up or down? So 3 times a negative number raised to the 4th power, well, that's going to give us 3 times a positive. So it's going to be positive. It's going to be going up. Well, since this is a 4th degree polynomial, I actually already know what the other one's going to be, but let's do it anyway. Let's look at the limit as x approaches positive infinity. So same process. We know that f of x will just approach 3x to the 4th, which means we're going to have 3 times some positive number to the 4th power, which will end up being 3 times a positive number again, which is of course going to be positive. So we know it's going to be going up. So while I don't know how this graph is going to behave in the middle, I do know that as it heads out to the left, it's going to be going in the positive direction. And as it heads out to the right, it's going to be going in the positive direction. And as I mentioned, in the middle here, it's just going to do some stuff. And I'll be honest, this is probably not what it actually looks like. Now for the other example here, I'm actually going to change it ever so slightly, and I'll put a negative out in front. So first off, let's figure out our left behavior. And that would of course be the limit as x approaches negative infinity, going to the left of g of x. And we know that that is going to equal negative 14x to the 7th. Again, none of these powers here are going to matter as x gets really negative. Well, the only part about this that really matters is that it's negative. So really what we're going to end up here is a negative times a negative. Again, x is approaching negative infinity, so x is going to be negative to the 7th power, which of course is going to be negative times a negative to the 7th power is still negative, so it's going to look positive. It's going to be going up. So as x goes to the left, f of x goes up. So let's look at our right-hand behavior. So again, the only thing that really matters about that 14 is that it's negative. And then we're going to have, in this case, a positive, since we're going to the right, raised to the 7th power. Again, x is approaching positive infinity, so it'll of course be positive. And we end up with a negative times a positive to the 7th power is going to remain positive, which is of course equal to negative. So that means that g of x, should be a g of x up here as well, is going to be going down as we go to the right. So kind of putting that all together, we see that as we travel to the left here, we're going to be going up. And as we travel to the right here, we're going to be going down. And once again, I don't really know what this looks like in the middle, but it might look something like that. And from there, all we really need to do to piece all of this together is find the zeros and talk about one more thing, multiplicity, which I'll talk about in the next video.